A revolt over President Trump's, quote, corruption tour of the Middle East. That's what people are calling it, including longtime Republican allies of Donald Trump. So this is where we start on the right. The National Review, one of the most conservative magazines out there, says it's a plain old grift. It's a poison plane. And welcome to the swamp now under new management. That's a taste of what you might call the intellectual side of conservative politics right now. Writers, editors at a place known for supporting the MAGA agenda on many issues, including crackdowns on immigration, saying enough is enough when it comes to this kind of what they call grift. Trump is making his first foreign trip of this second term, but it's being overshadowed by his plane debacle. Indeed, for some, it's hard to watch him dismount from the U.S.-made Air Force One without thinking of his plan to personally pocket a foreign-created Air Force One if that plan continues to get off the ground. This was him landing in Saudi Arabia. Separately, the Trump family organization continues to pursue billions of dollars in real estate and associated deals in that country and region. He's greeted by their leader there, but the outrage is dwarfing the trip because leading into the trip, first with journalistic reporting and then with the president confirming it, so there's no debate, no contested story here, the news has broken that Trump wants to take a $400 million luxury jumbo jet from a foreign country of Qatar. You're seeing some of the inside luxurious accommodations here as it stands. This would be then further updated and retrofitted as an American Air Force One. Qatar is where he's headed tomorrow. Conservatives, independents, and certainly opposition party Democrats all seem to agree on this story of the Trump era, that this is a kind of brazen profiteering. Here's Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, of course, the sister outlet to Fox News, quote, Trump sends message to the world he's open for business. Over at the New York Times, corruption concerns. The Washington Post reporting on the private business conflicts, I should say. Or if you want a more tabloid flavor, the New York Post, which many people still read, if you're in New York in a tabloid broadsheet or online, Qatar's palace in the sky, not a free gift. And they say Trump shouldn't accept it as one. That is a baseline and obvious point. Everybody knows this in normal life. If somebody wants to buy you a drink or a dinner, sure. If they want to buy you too large a gift out of nowhere and you're not friends, it's suspicious. In business, if the gift is really large and they want things from you, it can be called a kickback. It's unseemly, it's a conflict, and in many regulated businesses in the United States, it can become an ethics concern, a fireable offense, and in some cases, illegal. Now, Republicans are not standing with Trump on this one. Nikki Haley says if it were Biden, we'd be furious. And with your own ears, you can hear Republican senators weighing in.
It's a nice gesture, but I think maybe the thing to do is to say, hey, we appreciate it, but there's a lot of other things you could help us out with.
That doesn't seem to be right, and I think it's not going to pass the smell test.
Well, what I'm concerned is the safety of the president. I mean, Qatar's not, in my opinion, a great ally.
Well, they better sweep that plane from front to back.
Air Force One is the symbol of America. When it lands or flies, it is America flying and landing, and I want to make sure that this whole thing is kosher. Time will tell.
Well, listen, I'm not a fan of Qatar. I think they have a really disturbing pattern of funding theocratic lunatics who want to murder us. I also think that the plane poses significant espionage and surveillance problems. So we'll see how this issue plays out, but I certainly have concerns.
That's Senator Ted Cruz, who has supported Donald Trump's MAGA agenda for years. He's apologized for Donald Trump, but if you're saying, wow, did he change his mind? Has he learned that there are issues with Donald Trump? This one raising basic competence about national security, as he said, the espionage concern, which again goes back to the alleged corruption concern. Maybe protecting the United States security, intelligence, and interests comes second to just pocketing $400 million. Because remember, the brazen plan would be the plane would be used and then go back to Trump's personal use post-presidency through his library, if this happens, if he gets away with it. But Ted Cruz is actually returning to where he started, which is why when you watch some of these stories in the news and you say, am I bananas? Are they bananas? Is this okay? Well, a lot of these folks, including conservatives, had all the same concerns about Donald Trump. I'm quoting them as a news anchor. They had concerns about what they called Donald Trump's dishonesty or lies or alleged possible corruption issues. And they had all of those concerns before Trump amassed the power he has today over the Republican Party. So it is back in the news tonight to consider what Ted Cruz warned about Donald Trump before he was ever elected.
Donald, you're a sniveling coward. It is no surprise that Donald is throwing yet another temper tantrum, or if you like, yet another Trumper tantrum. This man is a pathological liar. The man cannot tell the truth.
Now, Trump has also teamed up with a Saudi developer for this 47-story tower in that nation. This could run hundreds of millions of dollars. It is
keeping him honest with breaking news about that 747 the Qatari royal family is giving to President Trump, which he will keep, he says, for his library after leaving office. We learned today that it could take 2 years and $750 million or more to bring the plane up to Air Force One standards. Now, that's according to a person familiar with the matter. $750 million or more to take it apart, check for surveillance devices, then refit it with the defenses, communications gear, and all the rest a commander-in-chief needs. In short, all the gear already on the 747 he flew to Saudi Arabia for a day of pomp and ceremony, fighter escort included, and which he'll fly in just a few hours to Qatar for more of the same. His current 747, though, aging, already has all of that, and so will the new 747 Boeing is building, which is years behind schedule, as the president has pointed out, but which the company now says it could deliver in the next 2 years. In other words, about the same delivery time as the one the president says he'd be stupid not to take.
I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture.
Well, that notwithstanding, the gift, which Mr. Trump actually took a tour of back in February, raises ethical, constitutional, foreign policy, and national security concerns, some or all of which a number of Republican lawmakers and other Trump loyalists are speaking about. Here's Senator Mike Rounds, who sits on the Intelligence Committee, comparing the plane to a Trojan horse.
It seems to me that the Greeks actually had something like that happen one time, a long, long time ago, and somebody happened to have brought a golden horse inside of a community. This aircraft is beautiful, and it would be great if we could accept it, but security concerns are also there.
Well, Senator John Cornyn, also on the Intelligence Committee, said off camera, I just know that our adversaries are pretty creative at planting all sorts of listening devices and other sensors, so I'd be very concerned about that. Senator Lisa Murkowski, also off camera, said when you get something of that value from a country, one typically thinks that there's something in it for the country that is offering it. So I think there's certainly a lot of questions. Senator Rand Paul is opposed on ethical grounds.
There is a provision in the Constitution that says you can't do this. I think it's not worth the appearance of impropriety. Whether it's improper or not, I don't think it's worth it.
Other GOP lawmakers, though, are showing less firmness in their views on the matter. Senator Josh Hawley says he'd prefer a made-in-America plane, which, other than the interior done by a French design firm, it is. Senator Tom Tillis seems to be approaching the question as the management consultant he once was.
And then you got to work through the cost benefit of it, right? I mean, we're in a world of Doge, so we got to figure out whether it's worth upfitting or writing a check, selling it and writing a check to the Treasury and help us with our debt reduction.
Well, Majority Leader John Thune, on the other hand, would not weigh in at all because it seems it's just not real to him yet.
I don't think there's anything official out there. This is a hypothetical, and I'm sure that if and when there is, it's no longer a hypothetical. I can assure you there will be plenty of scrutiny of whatever that arrangement might look like.
Senator Joni Ernst tried a version of the old I haven't seen the tweet answer, telling CNN's Monteragio, I haven't heard specifics about the plane. I don't know anything about it. As for Democrats, there's widespread criticism, of course, with Senate Majority Leader Schumer saying he is placing a blanket hold on all Justice Department political nominees until he receives answers on the plane. However, that hold can be overcome by a simple majority, which Republicans now hold. And some Republican lawmakers, such as Montana Congressman and former Trump Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke, he's apparently not worried.
Do you have any ethics concerns or constitutional concerns?
I'm glad Pam Bondi stepped in and looked at it from a legal point of view, which is helpful. Again, I'll go back. This must be one heck of a plane, because he was on Air Force One. I've been on Air Force One. Right. To me, it's a nice plane. Evidently, remember who President Trump is. He's a billionaire businessman from New York. He doesn't sleep in a sleep bag overnight. He's making deals, and I think it's transactional to him. He looks at it and goes, hey, it's a better airplane. His comment was, you'd be stupid not to take it. I think that's from a business point of view, because he is a business guy. He goes out and, he's making deals everywhere, and he's Mr. Deal Maker.
Well, keeping him honest, you may remember that as Interior Secretary, he was found to have broken ethics rules while in office by the department's Inspector General. The congressman's seal of approval or not, there is criticism as well from some of the president's biggest backers in the right-wing media world.
Taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, all the rest, that's not America first. Like, please define America first in a way that says you should take sacks of cash from the Qatari royals who are behind Al Jazeera. It just isn't America first in any conceivable way. So back to the original question. Is this good for President Trump? Is it good for his agenda? Is it good for draining the swamp and getting things done? The answer is no, it isn't. It isn't. If you want President Trump to succeed, this kind of skeezy stuff needs to stop.
Laura Loomer, another fierce Trump loyalist, says she cannot support the president on this, but his staunchest critic might just come from out of the past, namely from Donald Trump. Writing about President Obama in 2012, his tweet reads, how many illegal foreign donations will Obama collect this final week? Another scandal ignored by the liberal media. CNN Chief White House Correspondent Kaitlan Collins starts us off tonight from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Did the White House, do you think, fully grasp how much controversy over this jet would follow the president on this trip?
No, Anderson. We talked about earlier, this airplane deal is falling apart. And it's falling apart for a bunch of reasons. One, Republicans continue to quit on Trump over this airplane scandal. They're ditching him over it. You saw Ben Shapiro do it. Members of Congress are doing it. Staffers, current and former, have been raising this. Some of these things are off the record, because they don't want Trump's wrath, but they're saying, off the record, I think this is dumb. And it's a whole bunch of reasons. One, it violates the emoluments clause. Full stop, right? It's a textbook, even for Trump, blatant constitutional violation. Also, there's security issues. I know that, the United States government will look at the plane and all of that, but, what's to say that Qatar doesn't put, bugs everywhere in it to, spy on the president, right? They're building the plane. If there's anybody that could hide something, a purpose-built plane given to him could do that. But even if you put that aside, it's just, there's no such thing as a free, like Jon Stewart said, there's no such thing as a free lunch was meant to be even if someone gives you a sandwich, they might want something. This is hundreds of millions of sandwiches worth of money, right? But beyond all that, as noted there, even Air Force One, this plane, as fancy as it is fancier than the current Air Force One in many ways. But in other ways, it's less fancy in terms of security apparatuses, how it works with journalists. It's not designed to be a floating Oval Office. Even the fancier version is not presidential in that way. And so you can get this free jet, but even if it is free, and again, there's talks that the deal's falling apart, right? Qatar is already saying, it's actually inaccurate to say we're giving them the plane. Maybe we will, but details still have to be hammered out. But it would cost hundreds of millions potentially to make it Air Force One, security, communications, all of that. This is a mess, and people are running for the exit.